Hey everybody, welcome to Black Arrow Gaming. I'm Bob, and this is the first episode in my new Civilization 6 strategy series. If you notice, I'm just calling this one a strategy series. I'm not calling it advanced strategy because I don't think I'm quite as good at this game as I am at Age of Wonders, but I have been practicing a lot lately and have sort of been building up to this series because I want to be able to go over at least a few tips and tricks to help other players get a little bit better at the game. I've learned quite a few things. There's a few little hidden things in this game that it doesn't really tell you about, and I've been sort of trying to compile some of that information at least to hopefully make a video that's useful to audiences who, even if they're familiar with the game, might not have an in-depth understanding of the deeper mechanics behind it. So I'm going to just jump right into this. I'm going to go to single player and just set up more or less a standard game. I've already decided who I'm going to be playing as. First off, let's get the map size set. I prefer to have these settings on like kind of a standard settings. I like continents. I do usually like the way it generates land in this game to make for some interesting maps with little islands and peninsulas and choke points. I don't like it when it just gives you like two big chunks of land as two continents, but it doesn't always do that, so hopefully we get a good map roll. As far as difficulty goes, I'm going to be playing on Emperor. I have beaten Immortal on this game before with friends in like a co-op setting or even just in a free-for-all game. Playing with other human players, you can kind of work together with them to deal with some of the more powerful computers. On my own, I'm probably more of an Emperor level in this game, and that should be a challenging and fun game. As for my leader, I thought long and hard about it. There's a few different players in particular that I like. I'm a pretty big fan of England is probably my favorite, and I'll probably talk about them a little bit more. One of the things a lot of people don't know about England is that the Royal Navy dockyard, you can see it over there on the right, that will actually give them an extra trade route even if they already have a commercial hub. With most civilizations, each city gets one trade route if it has either a harbor or a commercial hub, but having both does not give you two. England actually does get two. The dockyard always gives you an extra trade route on top of the commercial hub. That's actually one of their best bonuses, and the game doesn't really tell you about it. And that's an example of some of the mechanics that I was talking about that are a little bit hidden. England basically gets twice as many trade routes from their cities as long as they're building them near water. I won't be playing as England, though, because I want to be able to go over some of the more, all the different aspects of the game, including religion, and England isn't a great one for founding a religion. They don't have any bonuses in that regard. Other players that I like a lot are Saladin. I really enjoy the extra science that he gets from spreading his religion. That is absolutely amazing. I'm not a huge fan of his last prophet ability because getting the last of the great prophets doesn't really help that much, in my opinion. I always rush to try to be one of the first to get a religion anyway, if I'm going that route, I guess is what I'm trying to say. However, Saladin's other bonuses that he gets for science and faith from his religion, his madrasas, and even his unique unit, the Mameluke, they're all very good. So I do like Saladin a lot, but he won't be one that I'm playing as either. I'm actually going to be playing as Peter. I'm not a huge fan of his Grand Embassy, the extra science and culture to trade routes to civilizations that you're behind in science and culture with. It's okay, and it's actually better. It gets better the harder the difficulty is, because computers do better. But I really, really like Peter's Lavra. That is a structure that actually gives you not only 2 great prophet points instead of 1 from your holy sites, but also extra artist point, musician point, and I think a writer point. Just a ton of great person points from building holy sites. Plus, Mother Russia is amazing, especially if you're near the tundra. An extra faith and production from all tundra tiles is just outstanding. So I've been talking for a while. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. I'm going to go to advanced setup real quick and just make sure these settings are all right. They should be. I prefer leaving most of them on their standard settings. Limiting turns by game speed is fine. It'll end long before that. And I love this little allies share visibility thing in this game. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it seems to work pretty well. I think that's good, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the game. We'll get right into it here.
From the first stirrings of life beneath water to the great beasts.
Other things that I like about Peter, I do like his Cossacks. I don't always get them.
You have come far.
It's kind of like England's unique
Now
unit. You
begins
kind
your
of...
greatest quest.
I don't always use it for a very long period of time in the game. Cossacks actually do directly replace cavalry, if I remember correctly. England's
your fascination
red
with science and culture is
I don't know why I can't remember those guys' names.
From your
Redcoats. England's redcoats.
Under your rule,
unlock with a different
Russia will
technology
surely
than the
flourish
normal
and spread,
musketman technology, I
absorbing
think.
all
So
that
it's a
lies
little,
around it,
or I know because
perhaps
I've played them a
creating
lot.
the
So it's a
greatest
little
land empire
unusual.
seen
The
on
Russians
earth.
have a little bit more normal, unique unit that actually just replaces an existing unit in the game. Cossacks are pretty good, but I don't always use them for a very long period of time in the game. Okay, so I've gotten actually a very good start because I like being near a river that's also near an ocean. Unfortunately, there's crabs in the spot that I would normally try to build a harbor, but I do want to talk about this real quickly at the moment. I like to call this the triangle of gold or wealth or something. It's really nice to be able to put a city on a spot like this with a harbor here and a commercial hub here, or you could switch the hub in the city. Having the commercial hub on a river gives it gold bonus. The commercial hub being adjacent to the harbor gives it a gold bonus, and the harbor being adjacent to the city center gives a gold bonus. So by organizing those in that way, you can actually get quite a bit of extra money. I might still be able to do that because, yeah, I don't actually have to have the harbor next to the river. So it looks like there's a spot up here that I could possibly have like a city on this spot, or a city even on that hill, probably this spot to reach those horses. Yeah, have a city like here, commercial hub here, harbor here, that would possibly work, or a commercial hub there. That's a very tempting spot, and I think I could get there in just a couple turns moving the city here and then here. So I want to think about what I'll be giving up in the process, and it primarily looks like jade over here, cotton down here, and stone. Probably the most significant of those that I'd be losing, well actually I wouldn't be losing that stone because that would be 3 spaces away, but I would be losing this stone, and I'd be giving up that jade and this cotton. I think I said copper a second ago. I think that's still probably worth it because having a coastal city is very valuable. And I could get there actually relatively quickly in 1, 2, and then 3 turns to set up. So I am losing a little bit of time, which is not good when you're trying to rush a religion. But I think I can make up for it because of how the Russians get twice as many great profit points from building their lavras. I want to make sure that I'm not missing out on anything, though. Or perhaps I would like to see what I would actually be gaining, because I can actually see everything that this city would be able to collect. So before you move or do anything with your settler, I would recommend moving your warriors and just trying to get a little better view of what's around you. In my case, I'm going to be moving them up there. And I can see that there are cattle here and here. And that actually looks really good for me because I can tell that this tile here is a land tile. And you can build the Great Zimbabwe from having you can build the Great Zimbabwe from having a commercial hub next to cattle. So what I would like to do here is probably put the city center here, put the commercial hub here, put the harbor here to make my little triangle with the commercial hub still on a coastline. And then whatever this tile is could be the Great Zimbabwe later in the game because it would be connected to the commercial hub and the cattle. I really like that spot. I can get there relatively quickly, so I'm going to move my settlers in this direction. I don't often do this. I don't usually move my settlers like this, but if there's a good enough reason for me to, I definitely will. I am giving up a luxury resource down there that I could have gotten fairly quickly, but that's okay. I'm also giving up an extra stone, which could be used with stone circles or in conjunction with stone circles to get a bit of extra faith. But I think the benefits of putting a city right here kind of outweigh those losses. And I would not have been able to put a city there had I built my city starting here, because it would have been within 1, 2, 3 tiles of the city that I started in. Okay, so we've made one move. You guys are maybe in for a long ride if I'm going to be talking this much about every decision I make, but that's kind of what the purpose of this series is, I suppose. So, as far as the first technology goes, primarily just want to look at what's around you. Animal husbandry would obviously be pretty useful, but I think I'd rather go with mining right off the bat just to get that luxury resource as soon as I can. I'm also seeing a good triangle for farms here. Later in the game, farms adjacent to each other add bonuses to food production. So seems like a pretty good spot, all things considered. I like this area. For starters, then, I am going to go with mining, and we'll probably pick up animal husbandry shortly after that. Actually, I'm not going to need that extra luxury resource for a while, because I'm going to be building a second settler as quickly as I can to take advantage of building another lavra somewhere. So, instead I'm going to get animal husbandry, because I can actually... Yes, I can actually... Why can't I select that? I want animal husbandry. For some reason, it's not allowing me to click on that. That's odd. I hope I don't have to do that. I've never had that issue before, so hopefully that doesn't become something I have to do every time. But yes, I think animal husbandry is going to be more useful because I have more animal tiles that I can improve, and I can get the jade later as my population's getting bigger. Of course, you're stuck with Code of Laws at the start, so I'll go to the second turn, and I pretty much know what I'm going to be doing. Oh, actually, I know why that wouldn't work. I have 0 science income, so it's not allowing me to select it from that menu for some reason. Okay, ooh, I like this. I get a little extra land jutting out here. Yeah, that'd be nice to put a mine on, or a neighborhood later in the game, because that tile's going to be breathtaking. Yeah, because of all the ocean surrounding it. Now that I know where that city's going, I'm going to want to immediately start looking for a place to put a second city. And I have a nice mountain range over here that would go well with a lavra. I see a little river there, so that might be a good spot. There's some fresh water in that direction. So I am going to go over there and see what I can see. Putting a city here, I'll be able to explore some of that area automatically. In fact, this is going to get a whole bunch of land because I'm playing as the Russians. Okay, and I think that, yeah, I'm good to go here. So I also get the Eureka bonus for sailing, for having a city next to the water, and I see I have some more land up here that I can work with. So St. Petersburg's going to be a pretty good city this game, I think. As far as my first build choice, I almost always go with a slinger. And I like to toy around with this. This is actually perfect the way it's set up. I like to try to, because you can't build a settler when your city has a population of 1, so you have to be building something else. And I like having some sort of an explorer unit. I used to get scouts, but slingers allow you to work towards the archery Eureka bonus, and they're just better to have around in case barbarians show up. So I will allow it to build the slinger, but I like to time it so that the slinger and the growth to population number 2 occur at exactly the same time. So you get the slinger as quickly as you can, while also being able to build the settler as quickly as you can, while still having a slinger. Having this hill tile with a forest on it is really nice at the start, because it's going to allow me to get that perfectly timed, 7 and 7. So I don't have to worry about my city for a little while. I'll continue exploring out to the east. I will be talking about adjacency bonuses a lot in this game as I'm building and designing my city. Like I said, I already kind of know where the harbor and commercial hub are going to go. The commercial hub being here, harbor here. Great Zimbabwe will be there later in the game. Haven't given it as much thought about other structures, but I'll get into that a little bit more as the time comes. So let's move these guys around the mountain. I will probably put them up on that hill right there just to see if there's any more room to build, or if it's just mountains over there. I think I'd be able to see the mountains from here if there were, so there's probably more room to build. let's hop up here and see what we can see. That looks like a pretty good area. It would be nice if there's a luxury resource over here somewhere, but a lot of good places to build lavras. There's going to be a lot of breathtaking tiles in here because of all the mountains and the rivers and the forests. I'm thinking this spot might be a good candidate for a city, or actually maybe the tile that these guys are standing on, because that could reach the other jade and could reach the stone. That's probably a better option, but I'll explore a little bit more and I'll see what's around these other corners and stuff. Of course, with the forest in the way, they can't see much. I think everything else is okay on autopilot. Later in the game, you want to really pay attention to these, especially when you're trying to work towards specific eureka bonuses. But I don't think anything is going to change at this point in the game because there are no eurekas for these early techs. Let's go down here. Okay, Meta City stayed good. Should have gotten a free envoy for that. Yes, I did. +2 production in the capital when producing wonders, buildings, and districts. That doesn't affect the production rate of my scout or of my slinger, of course. Hong Kong also gives the 20% production towards city projects. I don't use city projects that much, so Hong Kong is not the greatest city-state, but I will take that extra production for buildings and wonders. That's very nice to have this early in the game, or really at any point in the game. And I also want to pay attention to what sort of quest they have for me. Construct a campus district. Might not get around to that one for a little while, but we'll see. Well, now that I know pretty much what's down here, let me pop up and see what's to the north. One thing that I would like to find very quickly, if I can, is a natural wonder. I want to get the Eureka bonus for astrology because as soon as I'm done building that settler, I'm going to need to know, speaking of which, I probably should be doing this. I need to get astrology at least partway researched because I'm going to have that settler long before I have the builder. And what I think I want to do is build a lavra before I build anything. So having animal husbandry doesn't really do me any good because I'm going to probably have a settler and a lavra before I make any builders. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. I think it's lavra. So I'm going to start researching astrology, and I might stop it when it gets to about 9 and leave it there until the settler's done, because I want to give myself the greatest possible chance to get the Eureka bonus for it from finding a natural wonder. And I've already met France. So France likes it when you do things that increase your level of diplomatic visibility with other people, as far as I can tell. They, well, I'll have to look. First off, I want to make this a good meeting. It's an honor to meet you. We'd love to sample your hospitality. And already got progress towards foreign trade for discovering another continent, so that's very useful. And writing, so several Eureka bonuses all at once. There's a few things I like to do whenever I meet a new civilization, because as far as I can tell, on turn 1, they will always accept your delegation. So you can send them one of those if you have the gold for it. And they will also always accept open borders. Now in that case, and that's like on the very first turn you meet them, they'll just do a free open borders for open borders. At least on Emperor difficulty as far as I can tell. Of course it doesn't really matter right now because I can't sign open borders agreements yet. I don't have that level of technology. But I think that I'll get still a pretty good relationship with France because they have this Black Queen. She likes civilizations. She gets as many spies as possible, does not like civilizations who ignore their espionage activities. I think by espionage activities, it's kind of referring to this access level, and I want to try to boost that with France. She likes it when you... I think she seems to like it when you have embassies with people and send delegations and just, in general, increase your level of diplomatic visibility with others. I don't know that it has anything to do with spies, because she'll compliment you about those kinds of activities long before you can get spies. Okay, got the new continent. And let's look at the land a little bit here, because that's kind of what I was doing here in the first place. No other luxury resources, however, I will get that extra jade, which I can trade away. But I also do get sheep, and I get copper. So I think that would still be, that's still going to be pretty useful. I think that might be a good spot to put a second city, especially on account of all the bonuses that I can get from surrounding mountains. Now, I'm not entirely sure where I want to continue exploring with these guys, because if I go north, I'm going to run, if I meet any city-states, I'm going to probably run into city-states that France has met already. And I can't quite tell where the jungle is, whether I'm north or south of it. Looks like France has got plains tiles. I was hoping I could get a hint with like a tundra or something like that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to this tile and then kind of move around and to the east and then down. See if I can find any more city-states before France doesn't get those free bonuses. There's some sugar over there. If I put the city here, I might be able to reach the sugar. But then I'd be giving up that extra jade resource. And I got a feeling that jade resource is further away from any city I would put over here, because it looks like that river might run down to another coastline over here somewhere. So I'll probably be building the city further away from that jade, unless the coast is like right there. Okay, got my slinger done, so I'm going to start building the settler, and I want to try to get that done as quickly as I can. I think these two tiles are going to be my best tiles by a long shot for a while, so I'll just let the city work with those for now. And I'll probably send the slinger up north a bit, because this guy's going to be wrapping around to the south. Let's take advantage of that little bridge in my city. And okay, so I can see that there is jungle, so I am south of the equator, which means that if I go much further south here, I'm going to find tundra, which I may want to take advantage of as Russia. So I'll let this guy do the exploring south. Slingers can go north. Also want to check... So I've already kind of goofed this up a little bit, because I should have probably made sure to have the lavra by the time my first settler was done, and I didn't do that. And now I kind of have to find a natural wonder if I want to be able to get that settler, if I want to be able to start building the lavra as soon as that settler's done. So I definitely should have started with astrology. That was a small mistake on my part. I might be able to just build something else instead and get like a monument or something before building the lavra, because I don't really want to waste any time. But let's see if I maybe can still find a natural wonder somewhere. I still have time to do it. France moved some units kind of right in my way, which is sort of annoying. Yeah, I would have liked to have moved there and then there, but they're not going to allow that to happen, so I'll have to go up and around a little more. I guess I could move here, then cross the river and work my way south, as long as they don't get in my way again. Alright, so I'll move, yes, one space this way, a second space this way, and there's a barbarian camp. Also some huts. Where was France a turn ago? They might cross the river and go after those huts. They might get them right before I do, because I think they moved. I don't remember. Maybe they did move back here. I should have paid closer attention. I didn't think it would be that important. I would like to find, if one of these two tiles was a hill tile, I would move onto it, but neither of them is. So I'll move here and try to get through this jungle as quickly as I can. The important thing is uncovering as much of the map as I possibly can. One thing I could do to kind of make this balance out a little bit is change my city to where it wasn't producing the settler as fast, but it was getting more food. And what that would do for me is slow down the time in which I would get the settler while giving me a little extra food and still allowing me to build the lavra right away when it's done. But I don't think that's a good idea, because these tiles are getting me basically 4 resources, if you could look at it that way, whereas switching it to a food would only get me 3. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good trade-off. I would just have those 3 extra turns to build something else after the settler is done. Okay, they moved back, so they're right there. I should be able to get this before they do then. Let's try to keep a little distance from those guys. I don't really want to fight them right now. Exploring the desert seems to be a good place to find natural wonders because there's not a whole lot of desert on the map, but they do tend to spawn. I mean, there's a decent amount, but I think there's more grassland and plains. But there's a few natural wonders that only appear in the deserts. The Mesa, the Dead Sea, and I think there might be one more. So it might be worth looking around that desert a little bit more. Let's see if one of these is a hill tile. Neither of them is, but I know that that tile is, so I'm going to move that direction. There's some decent stuff up there. That might be a good spot for another city too, especially if I could get Chichen Itza. Hey, I met somebody. Ooh, am I the first to meet Jerusalem? That would be really helpful. Yes, +2 faith in the capital. Awesome. I'm going to get a Pantheon belief really fast, probably before most other people do. So I'll have to start thinking about which one I want. I have a lot of pastures, or I will have a lot of pastures, so that might be useful, but I don't know. We'll have to think about it a little more carefully when that time comes. Still have not found that natural wonder. Let's move here. Didn't find the natural wonder, but I did find some huts. I think I will actually ignore those huts right now because finding the natural wonder is probably a higher priority. Oh yes, I got a relic. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have I think I'm gonna have a ton of faith this game, and I'm gonna have a Pantheon probably before anybody else gets one. Let's explore a little more out here. See if there's anything that I can spot. Okay, the desert doesn't look that big. Probably go around and then start working my way south. That is really, really good for me. I should have a pretty strong religion game if I do this right. Okay, so what I think is going to happen, since I'm not finding this natural wonder, is I'm going to take the time to build a builder, because I can put structures that'll allow me to build the lava faster, which kind of makes up for some of that lost time. And by then I'll probably be sending my slinger back to get the huts so I can defend him a little bit. Okay, Jerusalem also wants me to build a campus, so that's 2 city-state quests that I have to build a campus. So I might want to think about doing that sooner rather than later. I don't have any other... Yeah, I already know all of those. My city is going to grow in size on the same turn that the settler completes. So, if I wanted to build another settler right away, I actually could. Which, that might not be a bad idea, if I have enough spots that look like good places for cities. But if I'm going to take that approach, I'm going to probably want to start sending my military units back towards my homeland a bit. Still no natural wonders, but I think moving south through this desert I might get lucky and find something. For these guys, I want to send them a little more this way first. We'll worry about getting those huts later. And I'm seeing borders. It looks like there's another civilization up here. So I might not have as much room as I was hoping for. I still think it'd be a good idea to put a city on this river, perhaps, and try to get that tobacco, though. Maybe Chichen Itza later, if I can get it.
We are by the
it's
grace
England.
of God, Victoria,
Okay, I think they
Queen of the
probably
United
share the same
Kingdom of
continent
Great
that I do,
Britain
so that's
and
good for my
Ireland,
relationship with
and
them.
soon, dare I
Generally
say,
speaking, I
the
often
Empire.
don't warmonger. I often don't just attack people for the sake of taking over their land. I prefer to play more of an economic game, so I try to be friends with as many people as I can. England and France might not get along, though. Let's, well, actually, let me look real quick at their bonus. They like civilizations from her home continent. I don't know if that means... I think that probably means where her capital's at. So if I could determine where London is, that would be good. I, of course, want to send them a delegation. Get a little bonus right off the bat diplomatically. I'm not sure why France is kind of cranky with me. They're a little unfriendly, but let's look at the continent view here for a second. Ah, I do not share the same continent as England. But if I put a city here, I will. And that would give me a little diplomatic boost with them. It'll also make them cranky because I'm building a city close to their borders. But Manchester's their second city, and I think that's probably where I want to put my first city, because that area is going to get crowded real fast. So I think that's where this settler's going to go. Which means that I may want to repurpose the slinger to exploring what's over here, so I put the city in a good, well thought out spot. Alright, let me go grab those huts, because then I'll be able to see what's along this coastline. So I'll know where specifically I should put that city when the time comes. I'll move south with these guys and hopefully come across some natural wonder somewhere. I've hit the point where I have to decide whether I'm gonna just research astrology the rest of the way manually, or whether I should maybe hold it and consider making a builder first before building the Lavra. And I think I'm going to do that to give my guys a little bit more time to find... Yeah, I'm going to give them a little bit more time to find a natural wonder. But I'm going to need to make sure I time it to where when the builder's done, the Lavra's ready to go. I am going to have to think then about how long it takes to make the builder, which is going to be 7 turns. And it'd take 8 to get astrology. So that basically buys me 4 more turns if I take this route. So I'll go ahead and get animal husbandry, because I'm going to want that for when my builder's done anyway. England's already begun constructing something. Alright, I got Code of Laws, so I can now go ahead and get... Oh, you know what? I'm probably going to have to deal with barbarians, and I don't have any recon units, so that's a pretty much a no-brainer for the military policies. And I already have so much faith. I'm going to get the Pantheon on the next turn. It doesn't really make sense to get more faith, so I think more production is probably the way to go. Especially since I'm building a second city very quickly. Alright, so that's going to boost the production of that settler. And it's not going to tell me that. I know that astrology will take 8 turns, and it says 4 and 4, but the settler... Huh, this is weird. So, I found that you can't really trust these numbers here. It seems like these numbers are the ones you want to look at down here, because this is telling me the city will grow in 4 turns and the settler will produce in 4 turns. Sometimes when that gets changed in the middle of the turn, like the amount of production you have, or if you tweak these where your builders are working, it doesn't always update these numbers here. But these ones down here, I think, from what I can tell, should be accurate. That's probably just something that needs patched. So, 5 turns until growth, 4 turns until settler is done. And I know that making the builder is going to take 6 turns, because those numbers do update. Which basically means that in 10 turns I'll be wanting to build the Lavra. So I've got like 2 more turns, so I can basically get animal husbandry. So really, really hoping that I can find a natural wonder. I will take a detour to grab these huts. And that is the coastline there, so I'm probably not going to find one in time. So I'll have to bite the bullet and just get astrology the old-fashioned way. Either one of these would be okay. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. You probably want to look at these policies, but I don't expect that... I'll probably just work towards foreign trade for now. Having a trade route early in the game is always helpful. I will get the Eureka bonus for the other one pretty quickly, since I'm building a builder kind of fast. Okay, I get to choose my Pantheon now. So, one of the things that I like with the Russians, which I'm not going to get this game, is Dance of the Aurora, Holy Site districts get +1 faith from adjacent tundra tiles. The Russians frequently start near the tundra. In my case, I didn't, so I'm not going to be able to reap those bonuses. But that's a really nice one to get, because if you build a holy site right in the middle of the tundra, which you're getting extra production and faith from anyway, you get a lot. You get like +6 faith. In my case, I got I'm getting the bonus from Jerusalem and the relic that I found, so I've got plenty of faith as it is. So I probably will look at something else that's more in tune with what my geography is. I don't really... I like Divine Spark a lot, because that'll help me get the Great Prophet even faster, but I think that might be kind of overkill with the Russians. I think if you play it right, you should still be able to get the first one anyway. Well, the second one, because somebody usually builds Stonehenge and gets a free one that way. Fishing boats is one that I like with England a lot if I'm on the coast near a lot of fish for obvious reasons, but not in this game. Mines over luxury and bonus resources. That one might be useful because I do have a few jade and a copper, but I think I'd be better off with stone circles getting the faith from quarries, because I have two... Yeah, because I have 2 stone, that's right. But I don't think I'm going to do that because I've kind of got faith covered for now. And that might be overkill with the faith. Most of these don't look that useful. I think I know what one I'm probably going to be leaning towards. Probably the God of the Open Sky. +1 culture from pastures would be good, because I have several of those around. This one possibly from bananas, citrus, cotton. I have bananas, I have cotton. Mathematically, pastures would still be better. And then border expansion rate being 15% higher. So let me look around a little bit here and make a final decision. If I put a city here, I'm going to get a pastures from the sheep, so that'll also be nice. Ooh, France is kind of crowding that area. I'm going to want to make... Oh, now I'm reconsidering this. I might want to make another settler right away so I can run out there and buy that sheep tile before they get it. Either that or I'm going to have to abandon building a city there. I could always build one here too. Still get the sheep, get the jade, get the copper. I'd still have to buy my way out to that tile, and I'm not going to have enough money for that. I think their borders will probably grab that one pretty fast too. Now I'm kind of thinking about making another settler instead of a builder, and just grabbing 2 city spots real fast. I don't know. Let's grab this and see what I get. Okay, a little extra money. That makes buying the sheep a more realistic possibility. Well, I think I'm going to go with the extra culture. It never hurts to have extra culture. It's sometimes hard to unlock the eureka bonuses faster if you have too much, but I think that's going to be a pretty good one for my capital. Having an extra 3 culture is going to vastly increase over what I have now. So I'll probably go with that one. I'll take one last look through the others, but I'm not seeing anything that really jumps out to me, other than like the basic ones that give you a solid bonus no matter what, like Divine Spark. And I'm also already going to be getting extra rider points from the Lavras, so like I said, Divine Spark might be a little overkill with the Russians. You might get more great people than you can really use. God of the Open Sky it is. Okay, that just makes getting those sheep that much more important. So maybe I'm going to reconsider again and might send my settler over here. I'll probably take this tile so I can expand 3 spaces in all directions, and then just buy my way out to those sheep. I don't have the card that'll allow me to purchase tiles for cheaper, so I'm probably going to have to pay full cost for that. So I'll want to think about trying to get some money if I can. Hopefully this gives me a little more money. That would be... Yeah, that's a nice spot to get some money. I could really use it right now. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do with this settler. I'm going to run out here and build a city on that hill tile right there, and get the sheep. And that's also a nice buffer zone between me and France, having that mountain range there with those choke points. Okay, sorry to talk so much during that turn. I may have gotten a little carried away, but I tend to do that when I have an important decision to make, like... Yeah, we need to go one more turn. I tend to do that when I have important decisions to make, like religious beliefs and pantheon beliefs and that sort of thing.
If there are no dogs in heaven...
Okay, so I'm going to take my chances with England and hope they expand in a different direction. I'm going to give this spot a little bit more time, and I am going to move forward with my original plan to build a builder to take advantage of those pastures. I've also completed research of... I do have a little extra science now. I also completed my research, so I have to probably plan on getting astrology now. Let me move my units first, just in case I find a natural wonder at like the last second. And I didn't. I do see tundra down here, which could be useful to me later in the game. Probably should start researching astrology now. It is still going to be 8 turns before I get the builder, but that could fluctuate a little bit depending on when. Looks like I am going to finish those at the same time. My production actually shouldn't change at all, now that I think of it, because on the same turn that this grows, it's going to take a population out. So technically I have one more turn to give myself a chance at getting astrology and saving just a little bit of time on science. I don't really see what the point of moving onto that tile is. It doesn't really matter to me a whole lot what it is. So I'm going to send these guys back and probably start sending them towards where I'm putting my other city. I'm going to move them down along this mountain range to kind of fill some of that in and then get them down here. As a matter of fact, I probably should have done that earlier because I'm going to be sending them out into the darkness. Maybe my warriors can get back over there in time to be useful. Okay, see, now France is happy with me for being practiced in the settler arts of statecraft, so I don't really understand specifically what I did that make them happy, but I'm assuming it's because I sent delegations to people and have some relationship with people. I think right after I make the builder, I am going to make another settler and try to get this area, because it is kind of important for me to have a city on the same continent as England. Okay. I wish I knew what was in that tile right there. So I can't move through. Maybe I can move through the city-state borders, since nobody has open borders researched yet. Okay, so now I want to switch this to astrology, which, of course, is back to 8 turns, for some reason. Ah, the extra science was a bonus. Okay, well, the extra science was left over from the previous thing that I researched. That's why it said 7 for a little bit. So I should have probably... Yeah, I should have probably gone ahead and started researching that on the last turn. Okay, good. France wants to kind of start buddying up with me, so that's a good sign. Alright, well, I shouldn't change my plans on account of any of that, so just make the builder and get out to that spot as soon as I can. Hopefully don't run into anything. I'm taking a little bit of a risk running out like this. I don't like doing that, but I don't really have time to waste. Okay, good. I can move here. I want to run these guys west as quickly as I can, but it's probably not going to matter. What would be the safest route? I'm imagining sticking near the mountain range would be safer. So if I go one spot here, then cross the river, one turn, and then on the hill. So this is actually the faster route, but maybe not quite as safe. I'm going to take that chance in this case, so I don't really have time to waste right now. It would be really nice if I could get a little extra science somehow. Alright, I can... It'll tell me that I can't move there, but it's because it's not accounting for the fact that I can shortcut through Hong Kong's borders. So I'm going to move straight west for now. There is more jade over here. I'll hang south a little bit here. My warrior's not going to get back to be of any use to the settler. I'm just kind of taking the chance here. Alright, so far so good. I have to start thinking about where I want to put my lavra. Alright, let's move one at a time here just to take it slow. So as long as there's not a barbarian on one of those two spots, I'm probably okay. Alright, good. It looks like I got lucky. Since those guys are probably okay, I'll let the warriors go a little more south.
An enormous and lofty column of flame
that's good.
allowed the people in Holt.
I didn't waste
to
that
read
many
it
turns
perfectly
researching
at
past the
night.
halfway point on astrology. So I just finished
without
it.
a knowledge of astrology.
And I can go ahead and go with probably pottery. Nah, mining. I'll probably want mining before anything else. Yeah, I'm still going to use this guy to build pastures, though, for the extra culture. Be too nice to have at the start of the game to pass up. Alright, let's take a look at what this tile does. Adjacent land plots yield +1 culture and +2 food. Ooh. Well, that's not bad for the Russians, who would do well for themselves in the tundra anyway. Those would be some pretty nice tiles for me. Because you gotta consider that that also gets +1 production and +1 faith. That probably would be a good spot. I should probably consider putting a city out there. Alright, hopefully I have enough gold to buy those sheep before France gets them. Let's see what these villagers have. Okay, eureka for irrigation. That doesn't really do me a whole lot of good because I could have built the farm on the rice and gotten that, but I wouldn't have gotten it very soon though. I kind of want these guys to... Yeah, I'll send them around. We'll just follow the coastline. Get a little bit of exploration in. Well, I guess I'm going to send these guys down to where that other city is going up. Actually, you know what? I'll have them explore down in this area. I'm not going to get as much exploration done out here as I wanted to, but now that I'm starting to build things, I kind of want to leave my units hanging around the homeland, just in case barbarians start showing up, and I can almost guarantee you that they inevitably will, because that's just what they do. They're annoying. Alright, I'm going to move around the coast here. Ooh, deer tiles in forest. Man, that would be a really nice city spot for the Russians. I'm definitely going to have to put one down there. Alright, France might get a little irritated at me for doing this, but so be it. This is clearly my area. I was kind of hoping the borders would stretch out this way a bit more because of the extra land you get from being the Russians, but no such luck. I think I can still buy this. Yep. I'm going to grab that tile. Just steal it right away from him. And that'll get that city a little extra culture too. And hopefully they're smart enough to... Well, actually, you know what? Using that tile is fine too, because that's still 4 overall. I love having these hills with forests on them, and this city has a lot too. Ooh, and I can start building the lavra right away in this city. I might get it in this city before I get it in my capital. So I'm going to have to think a little bit about where I'm going to put it. So, when building the Lavra, you want to consider obviously mountain ranges, and adjacent forests. But I also consider pretty heavily where I'm going to build it based on breathtaking, like trying to get breathtaking appeal on certain tiles, which probably isn't going to be a big of an issue out here because there's going to be a lot of breathtaking tiles in here. The obvious spot to build the Lavra, what it's going to tell me, is right here, because that's +4 faith for 2 adjacent forests. There is a third one, but it only counts per 2, and then the mountain ranges being 3 adjacent mountains, so 1 + 3 is 4. But I got a feeling I'm going to want something else in that spot, because the Lavra's bonus to appeal from adjacent tiles is going to be a little wasted in that spot, because these already are going to have an obscene amount of bonuses. Like, that's breathtaking 5 already, and that's 4, and that's charming 3, but I could easily bump that up to 4. I don't know. That'll take a little bit of thought, but you know what? I think now is about the time where I'm going to be wrapping this episode up anyway, so between now and the next episode, I'll give that a little more thought and let you guys know what I'm thinking. You can also give your own suggestions in the comments if you'd like. I'll be happy to take those and review some of them. Not too different from what I do with my Age of Wonders series. The other thing I wanted to mention is that for now, these Civilization videos will probably be coming out once a week, unless I really get into it and want to play more. Like, I actually kind of want to keep going right now. But I don't always have time to render. Like, I can pretty much render one video a night tops, but for now, I think I'll probably be posting these once every week, and if the series really takes off, maybe I'll do them a little more often. They're not too hard to make. But the Age of Wonders series, I still am planning to continue doing 2 per week. These Civilization videos are a little easier for me to record on the weekends, so that's why I was thinking maybe 1 per week. But I don't know, we'll see. I might do a little bit more often if I really get into it. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments, whether you liked this a lot, whether it was helpful. I would appreciate it. And yeah, I suppose that's everything else to say, so I will see you in episode 2.